absolutely ridiculous. They'll believe anything. They'll believe anything. So, Abby, have you heard about Putin's other victory?
Putin's other victory.
Yeah.
Putin, you mean the Canada?
No, not the French fries. I mean Putin, the Russian president. He had a victory. He completely defeated something.
What is that?
COVID. He defeated COVID because I haven't heard anything about COVID for weeks now, really. So I'm assuming it's because of Putin, right?
Now, yeah. People like across the border, they don't have need to be quarantined.
I don't know, but it's just ever since the thing with Ukraine happened,
Yeah.
the virus seems to have been disappeared, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Anyway, obviously we're joking, but we're back. So yeah, we're going to be talking about something about the virus because it really has gotten out of the public view for a while. Quite, not completely, but kind of, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but before we get into that, right, if you appreciate our work, please give us a like, share, and a subscribe. Chinese.
帮我们按赞、分享、订阅。
All right, and we'll keep trying to provide you guys with good information and doing all the research so you don't have to do the research, right? All right, so Abby, I don't think you know much about what I'm going to talk to you about, so I'm going to try and lay it out for you. But information has been hard, right? It's been hard to get information, especially about COVID, because there's all this stuff about disinformation and misinformation, right?
Yeah.
So... You know, I try and find the information as best I can, and some of the places that you look, you see certain information. And I'm going to try and show it to you. Now, just YouTube, before you get all upset, we're not saying this is true at all. I have tried to check it, and most of it seemed to be true when I checked, but this is too much and I can't check it. And I just want to show you some of the stuff that I see and that other people see, and you can just give me some opinions, right?
Okay.
Again, YouTube, we're not saying that this is true. We're just trying to say what we see. All right, so here's one. So this is a picture, and they talk about this because Office for National Statistics is in the UK, or England at least. And they say here that they've taken the data, and actually you can find this. There's a website called theexpose.uk. So... I don't know how factually correct or incorrect they are, but they produce a lot of articles. So what they say is that they take the data from the Office of National Statistics, which is available to everybody, and after that they work it out and they put it into these drawings, these graphs here. And you can see, obviously, they put like a syringe and people running, and I don't know if they're trying to make it dramatic or whatever. But what's important is the information. Now, again, we're not saying it's true, but this says age-standardized mortality rates by vaccination status per 100,000 person years. So they're looking at England, people aged 10 to 14, and it's aged 15 to 19. And they're talking about deaths that happened between 1st of January and 31st of October last year. Okay? And from this, you can see the green is unvaccinated, the yellow is 1 dose, and then the red is 2 doses. And then this on the left is age 10 to 14, and on the right is age 15 to 19. And what do you think they're trying to say here?
Mortality, like the young people, they have a double vaccination.
Are dying more, right?
Dying, yeah.
Yeah, that's what they say. And I actually chopped something off the bottom of this. And again, we're not saying this is true at all, but here's the one that without that. So they say official data shows children are 50 times more likely to die following the vaccination than unvaccinated children.
It's a percentage, right? It's not like a...
I think it's because they did it per 100,000 person years.
Yeah, I see. Okay.
Yeah. So again, I don't know if this is or isn't true. I have tried to look at some of the data. I've seen other people on YouTube talking about this type of data, and there might be some truth to it. Okay? But don't you think it's important that you have this data, though? That you can see the data that shows people who are unvaccinated, people who've had 1 dose, people who've had 2, people who've had 3, so that people can kind of talk about this and find out about it, right?
Yeah, it's better to openly, right?
Yeah. So let's look at some other ones, right? So, I mean, here's another one. And this one, again, it's from the UK government. And it's the case rate per 100,000 people by vaccination status. So this is this year, 3rd January 2022 to 30th of January. So if you look here, unvaccinated is orange. The light kind of blue is double vaccinated. Sorry, the blue. And then the light blue is triple vaccinated.
Booster.
Yeah. Now, if you look at this, you'll see that every age group, according to this document, shows that per 100,000 people getting sick with COVID, every age group, the lowest one is your unvaccinated. The highest one, I think in almost every group, is the double vaccinated. And then the triple vaccinated is generally higher than the unvaccinated, but lower than the double. Now, that's very interesting, right?
Yeah, it's not like a same thing
The media often shows.
Told us, right?
Sure. But again, they say that they're getting this information from, you see the source, UK HSA Vaccine Surveillance Report. So all they're doing is they're saying that, hey, we're taking that data and putting it into a visual way for people to see. And again, I chopped off the bottom. I'll show you the bottom as well, just so that we're being honest with what people say. We're not saying this. But this says official UK government data proves that the injections cause damage to the immune system that gets worse by the week. Again, not saying this is true at all. All I'm saying is that when I search for information, I find this.
I also heard this similar information in Sweden.
In Sweden.
Okay.
I've seen that as well,
yeah,
right?
but I don't have the data right now.
Sure. But again, it's just as a person who cares about their health, who wants to know what to do in their life, you know, like I want to find information. And when I search for information, again, this is just what I find. And here's another one. It says percentage of COVID deaths by vaccination status in Scotland. From 4 December to 31st December last year. So just a few months ago. And then also 1st January to 20th January 2022. So in December, if you have a look here, according to this thing, it says that not vaccinated is green, 1 dose is yellow, 2 doses is the light red, and 3 doses is the dark red. And I think that what they're trying to show here, according to this, is that there's a change from December to January. And that these are deaths. So the people that are dying, you know, there are fewer people dying in January that are unvaccinated than in December. I think that that's what this is trying to show. And that the booster, way more people are dying who've had the booster, apparently.
Maybe more people to get booster. I mean, like double vaccinated and get booster.
Sure. And then again, just to show the real things, I chopped off the bottom. They're saying here, deaths among triple vaccinated increased by 495% in January, with the vaccinated accounting for 4 in every 5 COVID-19 cases, hospitalizations, and deaths. Now, if that's true, it'd be pretty worrying, right? A big if. And how about looking at another one that I found? So here, what is this? Percentage of COVID-19 cases, hospitalizations, and deaths by vaccine status, 10 January to 6th February. So very, very current. And it's cases, hospitalizations, deaths. So unvaccinated is green, yellow is partly. This time, dark red is double, and triple is light red. So cases, hospitalizations, deaths, it looks like the case numbers for people who aren't vaccinated are like 32, but then the deaths looks like 17 or 15 or somewhere around there. And then they say here, 9 in every 10 COVID deaths are among the unvaccinated. Right? Among the vaccinated, not the unvaccinated. And then they got this emotional kind of fail thing going on here, right? Okay. And then the thing that I chopped off, triple vaccinated account for the vast majority of the cases, hospitalizations, and deaths in England during January. One more time, we're not saying this is true. I don't know if this is true. I've done my best to check. That's all I can do is my best. The point that I'm trying to get at here is for someone who wants to know, if you search, this is what you find. Right? Right. Now, let's have a look at something else. This came out recently. Okay, so this is 17th of February.
Okay, let's.
Okay. And it says, Public Health Scotland to stop publishing COVID data due to anti-vax misuse fears.
But again, stop holding due to anti-vax?
Yeah, so they're going to stop publishing the data that people... So that website, the expose, I think they take... What they say is they take the data from Public Health Scotland or the UK, and then they just use it to make those graphs to show people what's going on.
Yeah.
Okay. And then they say here, Public Health Scotland will stop publishing data on COVID deaths and hospitalizations by vaccination status over concerns it is misrepresented by anti-vax campaigners.
What does the mean over concerns it is?
Misrepresented. So people are taking that data and misrepresenting it, showing that it means something it doesn't, possibly, right? So the Public Health Watchdog announced the change in policy in its most recent COVID statistical report, saying the frequency and content of the data would be reviewed. Yeah, so basically then they're not going to show the data and break it down.
I mean, they
but
don't
who's vaccinated, who's unvaccinated, they won't show that anymore. They're just going to show deaths. They won't show deaths divided by vaccinated and unvaccinated.
Yeah.
So I kind of have a question about that, right? You know, like, why would you provide less data? It doesn't really make sense to me that you'd provide less data, because it makes sense if you want to check if something's working or not working. You'd want to know who died, were they vaccinated once, twice, 3 times, 7 times, 0 times. You'd want to know that, right?
I think, if they think people gonna misunderstand it, so you should open the data and let more people to watch the raw data.
Yeah.
And they can make their judge, right?
Sure.
You know, just you don't say, oh, we worry about people gonna have some misunderstanding, so we just hide it.
Yeah, exactly, right. So you're not smart enough to understand this. And maybe some people aren't, but I mean, I'm sure there are lots of professors in the population, lots of teachers, lots of doctors, lots of scientists who would love to use that data and try and figure out what's going on. And then for somebody like me who's searching, like I just said, you know, then I can have a place where I can go to check if that's real or not. But if they're not going to publish it, what is going to be published?
Oh, yeah, then people don't
They're
have
going to go
any...
mad with stuff.
They don't have any access to look at those data, so
yeah. So then let me show you something else here. Okay. This says report CDC, obviously this is in America, not publishing large amounts of COVID-19 data. The US and this is from February 22, so it's not that long ago. The US Centers for Disease Control and Prevention has only published a fraction means a little bit, of the data collected about the COVID-19 pandemic. The New York Times reported, citing people familiar with the data. The CDC published information about the effectiveness of boosters for people under 65 2 weeks ago. And here it is. But didn't provide data about people... Oops, what am I doing here? Okay, about people 18 to 49 years old. The age group least likely to benefit from boosters because they're already well protected by the first 2 shots. So they publish information about how effective boosters are, but they don't show the data for people 18 to 49. Why? Doesn't make sense, right? I don't get why you just...
suspicious.
Sounds suspicious. I agree with you, right? And you got to put yourself in the shoes of people like us who are just regular people. You hear that, you say, hey, why?
Why we couldn't see all the the group's data?
Right, and then they also did this. They recently created a dashboard of how much COVID bacteria has been discovered in the wastewater. All 3 of those states and local agencies had been sending the CDC their own wastewater data since the start of the pandemic. Okay, the appearance of COVID in wastewater can help authorities predict outbreaks. Okay, now if you have a look at this, it says some outside health experts were stunned to find out the CDC held back COVID information. We have been begging for that sort of granularity of data for 2 years. Jessica Malati Rivera, an epidemiologist and part of the team that ran COVID tracking project, told the Times. A more detailed picture would have improved public trust, she said. Don't you agree with that? Like, if we know that they're giving all the data and saying, hey, listen, let people check this.
Yeah.
And just like free, right? Show the data. I would have much more trust in these people. But when you say, hey, we're not going to show you the data, or we were showing you the data based on who's vaccinated, who's not, now we're going to stop. What, am I to have more trust or less trust?
I know what's going on because when
It's crazy, right?
When I was in company, we feel something is like we are not confident about. We were not sure all the details to the customer.
Yeah.
Because we think
if they see this, they might
they're
not
gonna
buy,
have more
right?
questions. It doesn't mean like they won't buy because they still have a good quality. But we think they have bring more questions, so it's not easy to handle. So we just they don't. Sometimes we just try to cover. Not just like
you just said it. Try to cover. So is that what they're doing? They try to cover, right?
we just think we don't want more questions, so we just try to make all the data more simple, not too many details.
Sure.
So try to cover for something.
And this Public Health Scotland, I've seen some other pretty interesting ones. Like they also have information about the ambulances that go to help people, and showing how many ambulances had gone to people to help with heart attacks.
Yeah.
And the numbers of heart attacks from before the pandemic to during the pandemic, and they were trying to show stuff. Surely all of that information would be very useful.
Yeah.
But if they're going to stop providing it, why? And they want us to trust them more? Yeah, good luck. Good luck with that, right? So, and you see here, right? The CDC prioritizes making sure information is accurate, she said, adding that the CDC fears the public might misinterpret some information. If people are going to misinterpret it, explain it. Let people check it. Show, like science, show your hypothesis, show the data, show your interpretation, let people comment. I thought that's what science was about. It's about questioning, right? And not believing you always know what's right.
Yeah.
Having a question, letting people test it.
Yeah.
So, I don't know, right? This thing seems a bit strange. So, I see this. And we've also had like Russia, Ukraine. So we haven't seen a lot of COVID information, right? So I have one or two questions. So let's go and look at Hong Kong.
Yeah,
Right?
Hong Kong.
So I've been looking at Hong Kong recently and check. I mean, their cases really spiked.
Really
Right?
high.
And then I'm wondering why it kind of close to the end maybe of the pandemic, cases are spiking that much. And then I look at their vaccinations and I see like 70% are fully vaccinated, 26% or whatever have the booster. And the thing that really caught me is the deaths.
Oh, really high.
Really high.
Yeah, that's what the news right now.
Yeah.
Lots of news is a report. At least Taiwan news reported Hong Kong cases.
So a lot of vaccines, we're getting close to the end of this thing apparently, but all of a sudden deaths shoot to all-time highs. I want to know why. I'm not a scientist. I want to know why. And then I go back to those pictures I saw and I start to think, hey, maybe those things, there's a bit of truth there, but I don't know. I want someone to explain it to me. And let's go to another one, South Korea. Check at South Korea. Cases, all-time highs. Vaccinations, I've heard that like almost everybody who can have one has had one. High. And let's look at deaths. All-time high. I thought Omicron was less deadly. I thought vaccines gave people less symptoms and there's less death. Why are deaths so high?
So
let's put all these things together, right? They're not providing all the information that they have. They're stopping providing some information that they were providing before. We look at this and we see stuff that doesn't really make sense. How are we supposed to feel about this?
Yeah.
That's my question, right?
Yeah, you mean like people South Korean, when they saw their death cases go high, they're gonna do something, right? People gonna want to protect themselves. I'm just thinking, how they gonna protect themselves?
I'm not gonna answer that.
So that's my questions. Or
Sure.
what's their attitude, right?
Sure, and then that goes back to why I don't want to answer that question, what it could be, because
we
get
probably
banned and cancelled and said you're saying stuff.
Yeah.
Whereas, please, YouTube, I'm not saying anything. I'm just saying that I'm a guy. I want to find out information. I search. I find stuff. Then I see that the people in charge are not providing information. Then I see at the end of a pandemic cases and deaths shooting up. I think like I have a right to be legitimately concerned about this.
Yeah. Think about if you're a people who live in this country, you think, what happened? Why?
Yeah. That's what I'm saying right now. Why? What happened?
They tried to do everything they could, but the death cases is rising. What's the reason behind that?
Sure. Should we look at South Africa? I mean, I know they've looked at South Africa before. I haven't checked for a while. So the cases are really down.
It's like a circle.
And the vaccinations are only like, 29.5% fully, right? And the deaths, all are really low. So, I mean, they had the waves. It's just, I don't know. I don't know what to make of this, right? See, like 1, 2, 3, 4 waves, right? And then deaths, 1, 2, 3, 4. Not really that many vaccinations.
Things not really.
I have no idea. That's why I want to put this as a no idea segment, because I see all this stuff. I have no idea. And isn't it these people's job, the people in charge, to help us get an idea and help us to understand what's going on so that we can at least say, okay, right, thank you for letting us know. I kind of understand what you're telling us.
Yeah.
And instead, they're saying, no, we're just not going to give you information because you might misinterpret the data. Just trust what you see on the news. But we've learned that trusting what you see on the news, there's no trust there, right? So what do you think?
I think it's better to try to find some data and we analyze or try to figure out what's going on, because I think the data is more real, right? And you people try to identify what's going on in this data, and you make lots of pieces, and you make your own decision or you make your own conclusion. But if we only look at the media, they give you very quick highlight. They tell you what's the summary they have. Yeah. But that's their own narratives.
Sure, and they're often wrong. We've talked about it, right? I mean, what did they say before? A whole lot of things, and then they ended up changing them. We've done videos about that. We don't need to rehash that, but they've been wrong so many times. But they're saying, trust this, and don't worry, just trust us. We won't give you the data.
Because right now, people want efficient. They want to save time. They know lots of information on internet. If you want to figure all of that and filter and digest it and make a conclusion, it's really takes time, right? So lots of people, they want a quick way. Just, hey, could the media just give me some highlight, maybe some 3 or 4 bullet points, and that's it. I can get everything immediately, but there's some side effect because that's their own opinion.
Sure.
Maybe not.
I mean, I think what you just said is kind of the best case scenario, that they're just doing this because the people want something simple.
Yeah.
But on the other side, it's like if you're not showing data, it's as you said, you might be trying to cover something up, right? Or maybe you're worried that people will see something you don't want them to see. But when this comes down to our health, you know what? If you're wrong, right? If there's a problem, let's find out what that problem is straight away and deal with it and maybe prevent more problems from happening. But hiding data, that doesn't seem to make sense.
That's true. Even people try to dig all the data, but what they found is not all transparent. It's not the open public.
And we saw that the whole thing, right? First, you had the vaccine, you wouldn't get sick. Then that changed. Then you'll get sick, but you won't spread it. Then that changed. And then, you'll get it sick, but then you'll have protection. But then even the protection changed. They were wrong so many times. Sounds like they need some help. And surely the more people analyzing the data, the better. Because maybe one person will find something which could really help. But then if you stop providing or don't provide the data, like I showed you, I don't get it. Which is why we said, no idea.
No idea.
I have absolutely no idea. And I'd love to know. So someone has a way that they could explain this to me so that makes sense. I'd love to hear from you. All right.
Okay.
Back to COVID.
No idea.
Yay, from war to COVID. Oh.
Now we seldom hear lots of COVID news.
Sure. Anyway, we'll keep trying to find this information and asking these questions. And please support our work. Give us a like, share, subscribe. And we'll be back with another segment shortly.
Yeah.
Okay, bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.